The smell of ozone. That's always the first warning. Most people think the desert at night smells like sagebrush and cooling asphalt, and they're right, usually. But out here in Oakhaven County, past the last street light of town, where the darkness feels like a physical weight pressing against your windshield, the smell changes. It smells like electricity, like the air before a lightning strike, mixed with the copper tang of old blood and burning rubber. My name is Elias Thorne. I've worn the star for this county for 20 years, badge number 1 Alpha. If you look at a map of the Mojave, you won't find Oakhaven circled in red. We're a pass-through town, a refueling stop for tourists heading to Vegas or the canyon. They stop for gas, buy a bag of jerky, maybe complain about the heat, and they leave. They have no idea what we keep contained here. Dispatch calls it the void. The locals whisper the ghost lane. Officially, on the county blueprints, it's State Route 19 extension. But if you try to punch it into your Google Maps, the satellite view just shows blurred static, like someone took an eraser to the topography. It starts at mile marker 14, and tonight, the ozone is so thick I can taste it on my tongue. Dispatch, Station 4 to 1 Alpha, status check. 1 Alpha, 10-8, in service. Currently patrolling Sector 4 near the perimeter. Copy 1 Alpha. Be advised we have intermittent 911 hang-ups coming from the eastern grid. No voice, just static. Proceed with caution. 10-4, station, 1 Alpha clear. I clicked the mic off. My hand was shaking, just a tremor. Intermittent static. That's how it always starts. You need to understand the geography of fear. The ghost lane isn't just a road, it's a hungry thing, a wound in the world that never healed. For 2 decades, my job hasn't been law enforcement, it's been pest control. I keep the tourists on the main highway. I pull over the drifters before they drift too far. I maintain the barrier. But tonight feels different. The shadows cast by the Joshua trees seem to stretch longer than my headlights can reach, and the silence, God, the silence out here is loud. I looked at the passenger seat. There sits the black box, a heavy steel-bound case file containing the things I've never digitized, the cold cases, the ones that keep me awake at 03 a.m. Let me tell you about the first one. Let me tell you why I never drive with my windows down past marker 13. Case file number 1, The Welded Vault, 1994. It was my rookie year, November. The wind was howling off the mesa, kicking up dust devils that danced in the high beams. Dispatch got a call from a trucker. He said there was a vehicle blocking the lane at marker 14. Said it looked wrong, not wrecked, just stopped. When I arrived, my light bar painting the desert in flashes of red and blue, I saw it. A 1988 Ford sedan, pale blue. It was sitting dead center on the yellow line, engine off, lights off. I approached with my hand on my holster, standard procedure for a 1066, suspicious vehicle. "Sheriff's Department," I yelled. "Step out of the vehicle." Nothing, no movement inside. The windows were tinted dark, darker than legal limits. I got closer. That's when I saw the metal. The doors weren't locked, they were sealed. Someone or something had taken a welding torch to the seams of every door. Thick, ugly scars of melted steel fused the frame to the chassis. I circled the car. The trunk, welded. The hood, welded. Even the gas cap was fused shut. It was a steel coffin. I called for backup and the jaws of life. It took us an hour to cut through the driver's side door. The metal screamed as we tore it open, expecting the smell of a corpse, expecting a suicide or a cartel hit. But the car was empty, completely empty. No driver, no passengers, no blood. Just one thing. Sitting on the pristine driver's seat was a cassette recorder. The batteries were still warm. I pressed play. Tape voice.
"Let me out! Oh God, it's hot! It's melting! Why won't it open? The metal is moving! It's sealing me in!" The voice on the tape was screaming about the doors fusing shut, about the metal turning into liquid and trapping him. But here is the part that made the blood freeze in my veins. The voice on the tape, it wasn't a victim we knew. It sounded familiar. At the end of the recording, the voice stopped screaming and whispered one sentence. Tape voice. "1 Alpha, Elias, don't cut the door. You're letting it out." It was my voice. It was me, screaming from a recording made hours before I even arrived at the scene. We impounded the car. We burned the tape. But sometimes when I drive past marker 14, I can still hear the sound of welding torches hissing in the dark. "Dispatch, 1 Alpha, we have a 1033. I repeat, officer needs assistance." Thorne. "Station 4, this is 1 Alpha. Who is the officer? I'm the only unit on patrol." Dispatch, "Unknown unit ID. The signal is coming from..." Oh my God, Elias, the GPS puts it inside the ghost lane. I slammed on the brakes, my cruiser fishtailed on the gravel shoulder, dust billowing up like a phantom. I looked at my odometer. Mile marker 13.9. Just ahead, the asphalt changed color. It went from the gray, weathered road of the county to a deep, swallowing black. The road line stopped being yellow and turned a faint, luminescent white. The ghost lane. I grabbed the radio mic, my knuckles white. "Dispatch, clarified 1020. Is there a vehicle description?" Dispatch, caller says they see the mirror, Elias. They say the red lights are watching them." The red lights. Cold case number 2. The family that vanished, leaving their shoes. I swallowed hard. The ozone smell was suffocating now. I shifted the cruiser into drive, my foot hovering over the gas. "Hold on," I whispered to the empty desert. "I'm coming." I crossed the line. The moment you cross the threshold of mile marker 14, physics decides to take a coffee break. It's not a sudden pop like in the movies. It's a sickness, a vertigo that hits you right behind the eyes. The sensation is exactly like missing a step on a staircase in the dark, that lurch in your gut, but it doesn't end. You just keep falling while driving 60 miles an hour. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I checked my rearview mirror to ensure the real world was still behind me. It wasn't. The lights of Oakhaven, usually a faint orange glow on the horizon, were gone. And the sky, God, the sky. In the desert, the stars are supposed to be pinpricks of cold white light, fixed, navigable. But here, inside the void, the stars were bleeding. They stretched out into long red streaks, smearing across the black canvas like wet paint dragged by a thumb. They were moving fast, too fast, swirling in a slow, hypnotic drain around a point directly above the road ahead. I tapped the dashboard. The digital clock was flashing 8888. The GPS screen was just a wash of blue static snow. Then the radio kicked in, not the squawk of dispatch, but music. It was a tune I recognized, the Penguins, but it sounded like it was being played on a turntable submerged in corn syrup, slow, guttural. The vocals were just a deep, rhythmic moaning. I tried to turn it off. The knob spun loosely in my hand. The volume didn't drop, it got louder. That's when I saw the reflection in the windshield, a flash of red light from behind. I flinched, my hand instinctively going to the siren box. I thought maybe a statey had followed me in, but when I looked closer, the red light wasn't flashing. It was steady, crimson, deep and wet like an arterial spray. It brought the memory back. It hit me harder than a drunk driver running a red light. The reason I hate Christmas, the reason I hate the color red.
Case file number 2, The Red Light Distraction, December 24th, 2008. Christmas Eve, 2008. The Miller family, husband, wife, 2 kids in the back. They were heading to Flagstaff for the holidays. Good people, the kind that obey the speed limit and use their turn signals in empty parking lots.
They never checked into their hotel. We found their SUV 3 days later, 5 miles off the main road, deep in the scrub brush near the entrance to the ghost lane. When I rolled up on the scene, the car was idling, a full tank of gas. The heater was blasting so hot I could feel it radiating through the glass. The radio was playing Silent Night, but the car was empty. At first I thought carjacking, or maybe they broke down and walked for help. But there were no footprints leaving the vehicle. The sand around the SUV was pristine, undisturbed wind ripples. Then I looked at the ground just outside the 4 open doors, lined up perfectly, side by side. 4 pairs of shoes, the father's heavy work boots, the mother's sneakers, and 2 pairs of small, colorful Velcro shoes. They were arranged neatly, toes pointing toward the endless dark of the desert, as if the family had simply stepped out of them and floated away. I remember kneeling down, thinking it was some kind of sick cult ritual. "The rapture," my deputy had whispered, crossing himself. I reached out to pick up one of the kids' shoes. It felt heavy. I looked inside. They hadn't stepped out of them. Inside the sneaker, encased in the undisturbed socks, were the foot bones, tibia, fibula, tarsals, cleaned of flesh, polished white, severed cleanly at the ankle, as if the rest of the body had just been erased. There was no blood, no signs of struggle, just 4 pairs of feet left behind like unwanted luggage, while the rest of the Millers were taken somewhere else. I spent months obsessing over that case. I mapped their trajectory. I found the last tower their cell phones pinged. It led me to a set of coordinates in the middle of nowhere. I went there, alone, off duty, and I found the mirror. It wasn't a prop, it was a monolith, a slab of polished obsidian, 10 feet tall, standing vertically in the sand. It didn't cast a shadow. When I stood in front of it, I saw my reflection, but the Elias in the mirror wasn't wearing a uniform. He was wearing a hospital gown, and he wasn't looking at me. He was looking behind me, screaming silently, banging his fists against the glass from the other side. I shot the mirror. I emptied my service clip into it. The bullets didn't chip the glass. They just vanished into it like stones in a pond. The next day, I went back with a sledgehammer. The mirror was gone. Present time, the ghost lane. The memory faded, but the red light didn't. I snapped my eyes to the rearview mirror. They were there. 2 orbs of burning crimson, hovering about 3 feet off the asphalt, following me. They weren't headlights. They were too close together. They looked like eyes. I floored the accelerator. The Crown Vic roared, the speedometer climbing to 90, then 100. The suspension rattled, threatening to shake the rivets out of the chassis. The red lights matched my speed effortlessly. They didn't bob or weave. They just glided, closing the distance. I grabbed the radio mic again. "Thorne, Station 4, I am in pursuit, or I am being pursued. 10:33, I have hostiles at my 6. Static. And then the 1950s music cut out abruptly. A voice crackled through the speakers. It wasn't dispatch. It was a man's voice, mid-Atlantic accent, cheerful, booming, like an old game show host. "Good evening, Oakhaven. It's a beautiful night for a drive, isn't it? The temperature is a balmy 66 degrees, with a 100% chance of organic failure." I swerved to avoid a pothole that looked like a mouth opening in the road. "Who is this? Get off this frequency. This is a restricted channel." Coming up next on the hour, we have the traffic report. It looks like we have a single vehicle accident on Route 19 extension involving a sheriff's cruiser. The driver, Elias Thorne, was found decapitated. Tragic, really tragic. Let's go live to the scene. My heart hammered against my ribs. I looked at the passenger seat. The black box file spilled onto the floor as I took a sharp curve. The red lights were right on my bumper now. The cabin of the cruiser was bathed in blood-colored light. I could feel the heat radiating from behind me, not engine heat, but the smell of singed hair and cooking meat. "Don't look in the mirror, Elias. You know they hate eye contact." I slammed on the brakes. It was a suicide move. 101 of defensive driving. Never brake check a pursuer unless you want to be rear-ended. But I needed them off me. The cruiser screeched, tires smoking, locking up on the phantom asphalt. The red lights didn't hit me. They passed through me. For a second, the inside of the car wasn't metal and plastic. It was biology. The dashboard pulsed like a lung. The steering wheel felt warm bone. I screamed, squeezing my eyes shut as a wave of intense, freezing cold washed through my body. And then, silence. I opened my eyes. The cruiser was stopped. The red lights were gone. But ahead of me, in the middle of the road, illuminated by my flickering high beams, was a car. It was sinking. The asphalt of the ghost lane had turned into a thick, black tar, and a white sedan was half submerged in the road, the rear bumper angling up toward the sky. And inside, frantically pounding on the back window, was a woman, the 1033. I unholstered my weapon, kicked my door open, and stepped out onto the road. The ground felt soft, spongy, like walking on a bruise. "Sheriff's Department," I yelled, my voice cracking. "I'm coming." I ran toward the sinking white car, but as I got closer, I saw what was surrounding it. Shadows, but not shadows cast by the light, shadows that were standing up, two-dimensional silhouettes of people flickering, watching the car sink. They turned to look at me, and they were all wearing shoes with bones inside them. The ground wasn't ground anymore. It was memory foam made of nightmares. As I ran toward the sinking white sedan, my boots sunk 3 inches into the asphalt every step. It felt like running on a waterbed filled with hot tar. The smell hit me instantly, not just ozone now, but something older, rotting kelp, stagnant water, the smell of a basement that hasn't been opened in 50 years. The shadow figures, those two-dimensional cutouts watching the scene, didn't attack. As I charged through them, they simply dissipated like smoke, swirling into the cold desert air. They weren't soldiers, they were an audience. I reached the car. It was a Toyota Camry, late model. The back half was already gone, swallowed by the road. The blacktop bubbled around the rear doors like boiling crude oil. Inside, a woman was clawing at the driver's side window. She was screaming, but the sound was muffled, thick, as if she were underwater. I grabbed the door handle, locked, or maybe fused. It was hot to the touch, vibrating with a low-frequency hum. "Unlock it!" I roared, hammering on the glass. She looked at me, eyes wide, pupils dilated to the size of quarters. She mouthed words I couldn't hear, pointing frantically at the dashboard. I looked past her, at the car's radio display. It was dead black, but sound was pouring out of the speakers so loud I could hear it through the safety glass. It wasn't static. It was Cold Case 3. Case file number 3, the 1950s signal. Every rookie hears the rumors about the death frequency, a signal that drifts across the ghost lane at exactly 3 a.m., a broadcast from a station that burned down in 1952. I pressed my ear against the glass. The voice was crisp, professional, that transatlantic accent you hear in old newsreels. The announcer. "And looking at the Doppler for the wider Oakhaven region, we're seeing clear skies, light winds from the west, and a 100% chance of mortality for the following residents." My blood turned to ice. It wasn't a weather report. It was a roll call. The announcer. "Sarah Jenkins, age 24. Cause, asphyxiation by subterranean pressure. Time, 02:58 a.m. Sarah. That had to be the woman in the car. I checked my watch. 02:56 a.m. 2 minutes. The announcer. Elias Thorne, age 52. Cause, blunt force trauma and structural deletion. Time, 02:59 a.m. He said my name. He said it with a smile in his voice. The encounter. The road opened up. The Toyota dropped another foot. The black tar was up to the windowsills now. The liquid asphalt hissed as it touched the metal, bubbling up like acid. "Move back," I yelled at Sarah. "Get to the passenger side." I pulled my baton. It's a collapsible steel rod, weighted tip. I've used it to break windows in rollover accidents a dozen times. Simple physics. Strike the corner of the tempered glass, shatter the tension, clear the hole. I swung with everything I had. Thwack! The baton bounced off. The glass didn't shatter. It didn't even crack. Instead, it rippled, like I had hit the surface of a pond. The steel tip of my baton sank into the glass for a split second, then was rejected, thrown back at me with equal force. Physics was broken. Newton's laws were just suggestions here. "Help me!" Sarah screamed, her voice finally piercing the unnatural seal of the car. "The floor! It's coming through the floor!" I looked down. Thick black sludge was oozing up through the floorboards of the Camry, wrapping around her ankles. It wasn't just mud. It moved with intent. It was climbing her. I needed the winch. The Crown Vic was 50 feet back. Too far. I didn't have time. Then the sky changed. The red swirling stars stopped. The wind died. Even the radio went silent. I looked up. I expected a monster. I expected teeth or claws or some Lovecraftian tentacle beast from the abyss. I didn't expect the geometry. Hanging in the sky, directly above mile marker 14, was a shape. It was vast, blocking out the moon, blocking out the bleeding stars. It was a polyhedron, maybe a dodecahedron, but it was shifting, folding in on itself in ways that hurt my eyes to track. It wasn't black. It was the absence of color. It was a hole in the universe cut with a razor blade, and it was descending. High tension. The entity wasn't attacking. It was writing. As it rotated, the edges of the shape carved lines into the air, and I realized with horror that it was rewriting the reality of the road. Where its shadow fell, the asphalt turned to liquid. Where its light fell, the desert scrub turned to gray ash. It was deleting us. "Sarah!" I holstered my baton and grabbed the door handle with both hands. "Listen to me. The glass won't break. You have to open it from the inside." "I can't," she sobbed. "The electronics are dead." "Manual release. Use the manual latch." I don't know where it is." The car sank deeper. The tar was at her chest level inside the cabin. She was hyperventilating, thrashing against the rising tide of the void. I braced my boot against the sinking fender. I grabbed the top of the doorframe. My muscles screamed. The ozone smell was scorching my lungs. Time, 02:58 a.m. "Sarah, look at me!" I roared, using my command voice, the voice that stops bar fights, the voice of the sheriff. "Look at me! Stop screaming! Find the handle!" She locked eyes with me. For a second, the panic broke. "The handle!" she whispered. She plunged her hand into the black sludge filling the doorwell. Above us, the geometric entity pulsed. A beam of silence, pure, heavy silence, slammed down onto the hood of the car, flattening the metal like aluminum foil. The pressure wave hit me, forcing me to my knees. My nose started bleeding. I felt the weight of the badge on my chest. It felt like an anchor. "Got it!" Sarah yelled.
Click. The lock disengaged. I didn't wait. I ripped the door open. It didn't swing out. The metal groaned, twisted, and stretched like taffy. The reality of the car was melting under the influence of the entity above. I reached into the muck. I felt her hand. I grabbed her wrist. "Pull!" I hauled back. It felt like I was trying to pull her out of the throat of a giant animal. The tar didn't want to let go. It was sticky,
fibrous strings of black matter clinging to her clothes, her hair. Time, 02:58:45. The announcer's voice came back, whispering directly into my ear, no radio needed. The announcer. She belongs to the road, Elias. You know the rules. Pest control. Don't make it personal. Go to hell, I gritted out. I planted my feet on the sinking door sill. I leaned back, putting every ounce of 20 years of patrol strength into the pull. My shoulder popped. A sharp, hot pain tore through my rotator cuff. But she moved. With a sound like a suction cup releasing, Sarah came free of the sludge. I fell backward onto the sponge road, clutching her to my chest. We tumbled over each other, rolling away from the sinking car. We didn't stop. I scrambled up, grabbed her by the back of her jacket, and dragged her toward the Crown Vic. Run! Behind us, the Toyota Camry vanished. The road swallowed it whole in a single gulp. And then the entity turned its attention to us. The geometric shape overhead stopped rotating. The eye of the shape, a perfect, impossible circle of white light, opened in the center. The gravity shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't running forward, I was running up. The road tilted at a 45-degree angle. The Crown Vic was sliding toward us, tires screeching, locked, but sliding uphill. Elias! Sarah screamed, pointing at the sky. The stars were falling, actual streaks of fire raining down around us. The ghost lane was collapsing. I grabbed the bumper of my cruiser as it slid past. I threw the back door open. Get in! I shoved Sarah into the cage, the prisoner transport section. It was the safest place in the car. I scrambled for the driver's seat. The gravity shifted again, slamming me against the door. I clawed my way behind the wheel. Time, 02:99.00. Blunt force trauma, the radio whispered. Something slammed into the roof of the car, something heavy. I looked up. The roof was denting inward. The entity was pressing down. I jammed the key into the ignition. Start, I begged. Please, old girl, start. The engine didn't turn over. It just clicked. The silence of the desert rushed back in, heavy and absolute. The entity hovered 10 feet above the light bar. I could feel it analyzing me, deconstructing my atoms. I closed my eyes. I put my hand on the dash. I am the sheriff of Oakhaven County, I whispered, to the car, to the road, to the void. And I am 10-8. I am in service. You do not dismiss me. I slammed the shifter into reverse. I drove backward. I drove blind. I didn't look through the rear windshield because there was no rear anymore. There was only the entity pressing its geometric face against the glass, filling the world with blinding white absence. The Crown Vic shuddered violently. The tires weren't spinning on asphalt. They were spinning on the fabric of a dissolving reality. We weren't moving fast enough. The gravity of the ghost lane was pulling us back down into the tar. Hold on! I yelled. The car lurched. The front bumper lifted off the ground. We were being dragged back. The entity didn't want the girl. It wanted me. It wanted the one who acknowledged it. The announcer. Payment due. Payment due. The toll must be paid. The toll. I looked down at my chest. My uniform shirt was torn, soaked in black sludge. But there, gleaming under the dashboard lights, was the star. Badge number 1 Alpha, Oakhaven County Sheriff. It felt heavy, heavier than lead. It was burning my skin. I realized then what the ghost lane was. It wasn't just a road, it was a jurisdiction, and you can't have 2 sheriffs in the same town. As long as I wore the badge, I belonged to the logic of the law, and here the entity was the law. I had to resign. I jammed the steering wheel with my knee. I grabbed the badge with both hands. "You want it?" I screamed at the white light crushing the roof. "Take it!" I ripped the pin from my shirt. It tore a chunk of fabric and skin with it. I rolled down the window. The glass shattered instantly under the pressure, and I hurled the star into the void. The car slammed back down onto the road. The tires caught traction. The white light lunged for the silver badge, spinning into the darkness, distracted for 1 microsecond. I stomped the gas. The speedometer hit 60, 70, 80 in reverse. We passed the shimmering heat haze barrier. The ozone smell vanished, replaced instantly by the smell of sagebrush and cold dust. The aftermath. Silence. Real, heavy desert silence. Not the silence of the void, but the silence of a sleeping world. I sat there, gripping wheel, gasping for air. My chest felt light, empty. I looked out the window. Mile marker 15. We were 1 mile past the entrance. We were out. "Sarah!" I rasped, turning to the back seat. She was curled up in the prisoner cage, shivering. Her eyes were open, staring at the ceiling of the cruiser. "Miss," I said, gentler this time. She blinked. She sat up slowly, looking around with confusion. The terror from her face was replaced by the dull haze of shock. "Officer," she said. Her voice was steady. "My car broke down. Did you call a tow truck?" I froze. I looked at her clothes. They were clean. No black sludge. No tar. I looked back down the road towards mile 14. The sun was just cresting over the mesa, painting the desert in soft purples and oranges. The road stretched out behind us, gray and empty. There was no sinking Toyota Camry, no shadow people, no geometric god in the sky, just a long, boring stretch of highway. "Yeah," I lied, my voice cracking. "I called it in, but we couldn't leave the vehicle there, hazard on the road." "I don't remember getting in your car," she whispered, rubbing her temples. "I must have fallen asleep waiting." "Yeah," I said, "you must have." I drove her to the Oakhaven clinic. I filed the report as a standard motorist assist. I listed her vehicle as lost or stolen, knowing full well it was currently being digested by a dimension underneath the earth. She went home to her family. She never mentioned the radio. She never mentioned the sinking. The human mind is a wonderful thing. It builds walls to keep out the things that don't make sense. It protects you. The twist. I got back to the station at 7 a.m. The sun was fully up. The town was waking up. I walked into the bathroom to wash the night off my face. I looked like hell. My eyes were bloodshot. My uniform was torn where the badge used to be. I turned on the faucet. The water ran cold. I splashed my face, trying to scrub the feeling of the black tar off my skin. I grabbed a paper towel and looked up into the mirror. I froze. The reflection looked back at me. It was Elias Thorne, same gray stubble, same tired eyes, same torn shirt. But in the mirror, on the reflection's chest, the badge was still there. It was gleaming, polished, perfect. Badge 1 Alpha. I looked down at my actual chest. It was empty, just a torn hole in the fabric. I looked back at the mirror. My reflection didn't blink. It just stared at me, and the corner of its mouth twitched upward, a fraction of an inch. A smile that wasn't mine. I didn't leave the ghost lane. I just expanded its jurisdiction.
So this is the end of the log. I'm still the sheriff of Oakhaven. I still patrol the roads. But if you see my cruiser in your rearview mirror, check to see if I'm wearing my badge. If I am, pull over. I'll write you a ticket. I'll help you change a tire. But if you see a sheriff with a torn shirt and no star, drive. Do not look at me. Do not acknowledge me. And whatever you do, when you're driving through the Mojave at night between mile marker 14 and 15, if your radio starts playing music from a station that doesn't exist, don't touch the dial. Just pray the song ends before the road does. This is Sheriff Elias Thorne, 10-7, out of service.